Hello, John from Big Iron Media here. Today we're talking about the Sig P365 series. Specifically, we're going to look at the 365 XL. This one is a 365 XL with a X Macro Wilson Combat grip module on it. And we're going to go over how you can swap out the grip modules by changing the fire control unit. Well, by taking the fire control unit out of the grip module you're using, putting it into a different grip module. So I've got a big array of grip modules. I don't have any sponsorships. These are all my personally owned grip modules. You might think I'm a lunatic because I have so many, but I'm a firearms enthusiast. So I carry this gun every day. So sometimes I decide like, hey, I want to carry it like a 365 XL with this grip module. Because of, I want it to be a little more compact and I don't want to have a light on it. I want to set it up like this. Or, maybe I feel like I want to have a flat dark earth grip module that day, whether it's a X Macro grip module or a Wilson Combat or a Sig. So I have a Wilson Combat 365 XL grip module, and then I have two of the 365 XL grip modules that are the Sig brand, and then I have three Wilson Combat X Macro grip modules. The thing about the XL grip modules, like this Wilson Combat one or this Sig branded, if you have the P365, which has the shorter slide and barrel assembly, you can use these grip modules with it and it'll work. You're effectively turning it from a 365 into a 365X. The difference between the XL then is it has a slightly longer slide and barrel assembly. And having the XL length slide and barrel assembly, then you can put that onto a X Macro grip module and then basically create yourself an X Macro. One of the things that I purchased this one as a 365 XL, and then I got all the X Macro grip modules, and then I had to then also buy the 17 round X Macro magazines, which are very expensive. So if I was gonna do it again, what I would do is I would buy the 365 X Macro, probably get the TAC Ops version that comes with four. I think it comes with four of the 17 round mags. And then I would buy the XL grip module and a couple of the 12 round mags that are cheaper, and you don't generally need as many of the smaller mags because they're upward compatible, right? You can use the 17 round mags in the smaller grip modules. They're not downward compatible, right? I can't take a 12 round magazine. It won't seat into the X Macro, but the 17 round mags will. Let me, hang on one second. Let me grab one. Camera tried to follow me. I don't know how successful it was. But anyway, I'll probably wind up cutting that out. So here I am back with this 17 round magazine for the X Macro. It fits in the X Macro grip module, which it's designed to do, but it also works in the XL, and it'll work in a regular P365 magazine, right? So if you have the 10 round P365, the OG, the original smallest one, this magazine will fit right in and, work. It'll work just fine. But again, they're not backward compatible. You can't put the 12 round magazine into the X Macro. It'll just fall out. So anyway, let's just go ahead and jump into removing the fire control module and reconfiguring some of these guns, and so you can get a feel for it. And I'll also show you how to take the 17 round X Macro magazine that's got the flat bottom that's designed to be used in the X Macro, and put this floor plate on it, which sort of adapts it to use with the X Macro or X sized 365 grip module. Okay, here we go. So first thing we need to do is make sure this gun's empty. So no magazine, lock the slide to the rear, and actually rack it 3 times, lock the slide to the rear, check. Magazine well is empty, chamber's empty. Physically inspect it, look away, visually inspect, physically inspect again. Nothing in there, no round in the chamber, no magazine. Send, well, at this point, I'm gonna go ahead and rotate the takedown lever down. I'm gonna remove the slide, just slide it right off. Set the slide aside because it doesn't really have any bearing here. What I'm gonna need to do is get myself a punch out of my punch kit. And I think this one will do the trick. And so I've got the grip module, the frame, the receiver of this firearm in my hands. The frame is, the sides of the frame or the sides of a gun are named for when you're holding the gun and pointing it downrange. So the right side of the frame is this side, the left side is this side. What I'm gonna need to do is press this retention pin. So this is the fire control unit retention pin. I'm gonna wanna press it from the right to the left. So find the pin, take a punch, just press it. Starts coming out, remove it. I've got a little parts bin here, courtesy of Glock when I went through the school for Glock armor. So then I can go ahead and now remove the fire control unit. Now, there's different ways to do it. One way is you can take your punch here and just sort of lay it in here and sort of stand it up a little bit just to get it started. Just pull it out. You're gonna wanna pull it from the rear and then just pull this, the whole unit out. Put it over to the side. Just because I'm a little bit anal about this stuff, I'm gonna go ahead and clean out this grip module since I have it open. The fire control unit's out, I should say. There we go, set that aside. So now we've got the fire control unit. You wanna be careful when you see there's oil and stuff, that's fine because there's moving parts in here. There's trigger, the trigger bar that travels back and forth. There's plenty of moving parts, but you don't want a ton of oil, so I'm just gonna wipe off a little bit of the excess. What you also wanna be careful of is, parts getting dislodged or displaced when you're manipulating the fire control unit. That's why SIG doesn't really recommend that you take it out unless you're actually swapping it out because, depending on what you're doing, you can dislodge like the slide stop. And it's fine, it's easy to put it back in, but if you don't know how to, you might freak out and think you broke the gun or whatever. So anyway, let's go ahead and drop it into, we'll use the SIG Flat Dark Earth grip module. So you pick up your fire control unit, you're gonna sort of angle it coming in like this, okay? So the trigger goes in, and there's the pin the large pin that holds the takedown lever goes into this slot. So you're gonna put it in here, press that front part into place, and then just ease the rest of the fire control unit. You gotta make sure it's far enough forward, ease it in, press it down, and it slots in, okay? Now you've got your pin again, you wanna press it back in from the left to the right. And there it is, okay? Now your fire control unit's in. Now you'll see that the takedown lever rotated itself up, so that's no big deal, but you're not gonna be able to put your slide back on. So we gotta press up on the slide catch and then rotate that down. Now we can go ahead and just easy as ever, slide the slide back onto the frame rails, put the slide stop up, rotate your takedown lever. There you go. Now you have yourself a Sig P365 XL. And you can see how nice that looks. So the XL being different than the X in that it's got this extra barrel, right? So if this barrel and slide part ended here, you'd have a 365X. And then if you had a little bit less grip on it, you'd have a 365, just, you know, kind of your standard 365. So this is what the 365 XL looks like. If you had a 365 slide, so the shorter slide and barrel assembly, complete assembly, you could put that on this frame. You know, so if you had this set up, you could also purchase the slide assembly, a complete slide assembly, and just slap it on and you'd be good to go. And again, because Sig, the way they made the 365 and the 320 series, that fire control unit is serialized, and that is the firearm. That's the only part that is, by federal law, a firearm. All the rest of it is just parts. This is just a piece of plastic. It's you can walk into Cabela's or wherever and buy one. You don't have to fill out any paperwork. You just buy it. You can buy it online, you know, from Optics Planet or Cheaper Than Dirt or wherever you like to buy gun parts online. You can just buy it. You can also buy the slide, barrel assembly, all that stuff online, and have it mailed to you. So, you know, that's the reason why the 365 series is so incredible and versatile. Because look, it's quite a difference, you know, between the 365X macro setup and this 365 XL setup. So here's one of the 12 round mags. Obviously it's empty. I'm just going to put it in so that you can just get that feel for the size of it. It's quite a bit smaller. It feels really good in the hands. It's still very nimble. It's still a very, very effective platform, especially when you put an optic on it. This gun is incredibly versatile. This is a great carry configuration. Now I want to also show the what it looks like with the magazine modified slightly by changing out the floor plate. So I just pressed the retention plate down through, you know, this hole with a punch, held that in place with my finger, slid the floor plate off. I'm just going to put that flat floor plate aside. This is the XL or X frame floor plate adapter. So I'm just going to slide this on. Now you'll see it actually covers a good portion of the bottom of the magazine. So when you go to slide it on, it slides on like so, okay? You see how far down the tube of the magazine this floor plate goes? Just slide it on, there you go. So now you have a 17 round magazine that has this gap filler floor plate. So you can remove that 12 round mag, insert the 17 round mag, and that's the setup that you have. If you want to operate this 365 XL with a 17 round mag, that's a nice option because it looks cleaner than just having the bare magazine tube sticking out of the bottom, where it always looks like you know, you just don't have the magazine seated or whatever. It's not a big deal to do that, but you know, for my taste, this just looks, it's more aesthetically pleasing, it's cleaner looking. It also gives you a little bit of grip surface addition. You know, if you've got bigger hands that, you know, you have some stippled grip extension to hold on to. So that's one kind of a nice setup here. I'm going to just show also the Wilson Combat X Macro frame, just again to show you how easy it is to swap these things out. So when I bought this XL, it came with this one. Just the standard black Sig X or XL style frame, the 12 round magazine frame. And I purchased these other frames. Now I really am a big fan of the Wilson Combat frames. They have a really nice feel. There's a slight swell in the palm. The texture is a little more aggressive on the Wilson Combat frames than the standard Sig frames. It's a little more aggressive on the front strap and the back strap, as well as the side panels. I liked a little bit of a cutout. I mean, the Sig has it too, but what it has is a real nice palm swell. They feel good. They're also slightly flared, although again, the Sig is as well. They just feel excellent. The Sigs also feel very good, but for my taste, I like the Wilson Combat a little bit better. I'm gonna go ahead and, we'll do this again. Again, double check. Never hurts to make sure your gun is empty. There's no mag in the magazine well. There's no bullet in the chamber. Check. Check twice. All good and empty. Rotate your takedown lever to the downward position. Remove the slide. Set it off to the side. Again, from the right side of the frame to the left, you press out that retention pin. Put that to the side. You just pop this guy out. Fire control unit comes right out. Just put it down. Set this one aside. Get your other grip module that you're going to use. In this instance, the Wilson Combat. This is the gray grip module. Again, you ease it in from the front, press it into the back. Pin goes back in from the left to the right this time. This time the takedown lever didn't rotate itself back up, so I can just put it on, attach, lock the slide of the rear. God, I had a tiny stroke there for a second, but lock the slide of the rear, rotate your takedown lever up, and there you go. That's the Wilson Combat XL grip on the 365. Again, you could use the standard 365 slide assembly with the shorter slide and barrel on here, and you'd essentially have created yourself a 365X, which is also a great gun. But you can see this is a very nice setup. I'm gonna, again, empty magazine, but just to show you what it looks like with that 17-round magazine. Now you might ask yourself, like, what's the point of this setup versus using one of the X Macro? It's just slightly smaller and lighter. The frame is a little smaller. The dust cover, that's this part here. This is a full-length dust cover. This is a short dust cover. So the frame itself is just a little smaller, so it's a little lighter, a little more concealable. It's a very minute difference. But you get the same round count and everything. So, that's why, to me, generally speaking, since I've been carrying this gun every day, I 99.9% of the time do carry it in the X Macro configuration, because I do like having the extra, the extra 5 rounds, versus the 12-round magazine in here. So if I'm going to carry it with a 17-round mag, I might as well just carry it in the X Macro configuration and get the slightly bigger grip. It's, and I do tend to carry it always with the light. Now, if I was, doing something that I wanted to have a lower profile, so a slightly less, conspicuous firearm, and I wasn't going to carry the light, like I was going to carry it on an ankle holster or something, then I definitely would swap it into the smaller frame. So if I was going to carry it in an ankle holster, for instance, I would go with the 12-round magazine and no light. I have an optic on it, so in a low light situation, while I would still have an issue potentially with target identification because I'm not projecting any white light, I have a good, low light aiming system available. So, working with the smallest package that I can create out of the gun setup I have, that would be this 12-round magazine in the XL configuration with no light on it. So this is kind of my, super small configuration. I've been toying with the idea of getting a 365 slide assembly, the shorter version, just to be able to, make it even smaller and have a 365X size. But I'm not really sure, because I personally just haven't even done this. I generally just carry it in the X Macro configuration because that seems to work the best for me in a practical sense. I carry it every day. Let me put it back together in the X Macro, and then I'll just talk a little bit more about everyday carry with it. So again, we'll just double check. Empty, check. No mag, nothing in the chamber, look away, check again. No mag, nothing in the chamber. Rotate our takedown lever downward, remove the slide, put the slide aside, get your punch, going from the right side to the left again, press out that pin, put it aside, remove the fire control unit, put your other frame aside, get the frame that you're going to put it into. Fire control unit goes in, front first, and then rotate the rest of it down and in. Pin goes in from the left to the right. All set. And once again, the slide goes on, lock the slide to the rear, rotate your takedown lever, and there you go. I'm going to do a quick function check because I am going to be carrying this gun again. Yep, works. Pin the slide or pin the trigger to the rear, reciprocate the slide, reset, everything's working good. I'm just going to wipe it down a little bit. Now I've rubbed off all the lubricant that I had on there. But anyway, going back to this is the everyday carry configuration. It's pretty big. A lot of people don't carry a light on their gun every day. I do. For one thing, I like the fact that it holds the front of the gun down. So it holds your muzzle down a little bit when you're firing because it adds weight to the front. So it reduces your muzzle flip slightly. Also, just as a law enforcement officer, I feel the responsibility to have target identification when I'm carrying a gun. So if it's nighttime, I want to be able to identify my target by putting white light on it in addition to being able to aim. But this is generally my everyday carry setup, 99% of the time. I carry this in an inside the waistband holster at the 4 or 5 o'clock position behind my right hip. I'm not a appendix carry person generally. I do sometimes carry appendix. Back in the olden days before it was even called appendix carry, when it was just called sticking a gun in the front of your pants, I used to do that. Back in those days, actually, a lot of law enforcement officers, we just tucked the gun in our pants. And I did that for a while until I had the gun actually fall through my waistband and out the bottom of my pant leg one day. And then I decided, yeah, that's probably not the best way to carry a gun as a professional. And that was when I was in my early 20s as a very young patrol officer. And I was carrying a Sig P365, which is like a very, it's a little heavy all metal chunk of gun, so looking back, it was really silly to carry that just tucked in my pants because eventually it was going to fall through my waistband and out my pant leg like it did. But anyway, I hope that you found this interesting and useful. If you did, go ahead and like and subscribe. We're going to have tons of content like this where you can get a pretty good idea of the practical nature of carrying a concealed weapon and what makes sense to carry, what kind of gun. And again, I think the Sig P365 series is probably the best thing going in carry guns right now because of the versatility. I mean, you just look at all this stuff, and yes, I probably have some sort of mental addiction to grip modules that I probably need some sort of therapy. But the versatility of this firearm and of this platform, I just can't speak highly enough about it. It's really great. One quick thing I want to say before we sign off here. The XL size grip frames here, they all use a Sig proprietary rail on here. So you can't, this TLR7 sub is just set up for a 1913 Picatinny rail. It will not work on these. You have to get a specific Sig TLR7 sub because it's just got a different configuration, which I do have one. I just haven't got it attached to any of these frames. But just another thing to note, when you switch over and you're using this X Macro, it's just got a standard 1913 Picatinny rail on it. So you can put pretty much any kind of light on it. I use a TLR7 sub because it's a little smaller, but you can use a standard TLR7 on it. You can put a Surefire, X300 on here. You can use all manner of different lights, which is really a nice feature, switching from the X Macro where you're kind of limited in what you can put on that as far as a weapon mounted light. Anyway, thanks again. This has been John at Big Iron Media, signing off.